Welp, y'all, we are back, day 34 of the story. Who would have believed 34 days of the story? And you know something? I always say, have a good evening, or tell you about the fact it's going to be Sunday or whatever. It's actually going to be Saturday tomorrow. But I say that, and then my good friend Paul said, I had this thing I put on the internet a while back, and people still look at it. It's probably a good chance no one's watching this on the day that I'm doing it. Even the next day, maybe. And there could be people watching it forever. So then maybe I should not say anything about the day. I mean, it wouldn't make much sense if I was sitting there telling you about Christmas and you all was sitting out there sweating to death in a July hot day. You'd be like, why is this man talking about Christmas? Doesn't make sense. So maybe I shouldn't ought to do that. Let me know what you think. Do you like the days? Do you like to hear about the... Yeah, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Could be interested. Well, we are there. We're still in this wonderful story, and we're talking about Saul. Good old King Saul. And he kind of was not really happy with David, who's going to be King David. So, anyway, we get back into the story. And after Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, he was told David is in the desert of En-Gedi. So Saul took 3,000 able young men from all Israel and set out to look for David and his men near the crags of the wild goats. Now look, all you know, Saul knew who God was and what God did. What's he think 3,000 men's going to do against God? Did he think that was enough? I mean, he had seen God work, right? But that ain't going to be enough, dude. You ain't going to ever have enough men. They didn't make you big enough. They did not make you strong enough. And they sure didn't give you enough numbers to come against God. Even if he made you as numerous as the sands on the seashore, you ain't going to be big enough to come against him. So that's just how that goes. So he came to the sheep pens along the way. A cave was there, and Saul went in to relieve himself. Even kings got to relieve themselves, I guess. David and his men were far back in the cave, and men said, "This is the day the Lord spoke of when he said to you, I will give your enemy into your hand for you to deal with as you wish." Then David crept up unnoticed and cut off a corner of Saul's robe. Afterward, David was conscience-stricken. He was conscience-stricken for having cut off a corner of his robe. It's a corner of his robe. You could have cut off his head. I wouldn't be too worried about cutting off his robe. I'd have said, look, I could have cut off your head, but there's just a piece of your robe gone. What you think about that, Mr. Saul? He said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do such a thing to my master, the Lord's anointed, or lay my hand on him. For he is the anointed of the Lord," even though he kind of was straying. With these words, David sharply rebuked his men and did not allow them to attack Saul. And Saul left the cave and went his way. Dude didn't even know. He was oblivious. Head was not on a swivel that day. Then David went out of the cave and called out to Saul, "My lord, the king." When Saul looked behind him, David bowed down and prostrated himself. I still don't understand this prostrated word. That sounds like a kind of cancer to me. With his face on the ground. He said to Saul, "Why do you listen when men say David is bent on harming you? This day you have seen with your own eyes how the Lord delivered you into my hands in the cave. Some urged me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will not lay my hands on my Lord, because he is the Lord's anointed. See, my father, Look at this piece of your robe in my hand. I cut it off the corner of your robe, but did not kill you. That's what I said you should have did, and I knew you was going to do it. But I just said I was going to cut off your head, but I didn't do it, right? See that there is nothing in my hand to indicate that I am guilty of wrongdoing or rebellion. I have not wronged you, but you are hunting me down to take my life. May the Lord judge between you and me, and may the Lord avenge the wrongs you have done to me. But my hand will not touch you. As the old saying goes, from evildoers come evil deeds. So my hand will not touch you. Against whom has the King of Israel come out? Who are you pursuing? David, you know he's pursuing you, dude. Come on. A dead dog? Nope. A flea? May the Lord be our judge and decide between us. May he consider my cause and uphold it. May he vindicate me by delivering me from your hand. When David finished saying this, Saul asked, Is that your voice, David, my son? And he wept aloud. You are more righteous than I, he said. You have treated me well, but I have treated you badly. You have just now told me about the good you did to me. The Lord delivered me into your hands, but you did not kill me. When a man finds his enemy, does he let him get away unharmed? May the Lord reward you well for the way you treated me today. I know that you will surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel will be established in your hands. Now swear to me by the Lord that you will not kill off my descendants or wipe out my name from my father's family. Well, you might break your daughter's heart. It's possible. I mean, I don't really hear that part of the story about what she felt with old Bathsheba. Yeah. So David gave his oath to Saul, and Saul returned home. But David and his men went up to the stronghold. David sang to the Lord, and the words of his song when the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul, he said, and this is his song there, The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation. He is my stronghold, my refuge, and my Savior. From violent people you save me. I called to the Lord, who is worthy of praise, and have been saved from my enemies. The waves of death swirled about me. The torrents of destruction overwhelmed me. The cords of the grave coiled around me. The snares of death confronted me. In my distress I called to the Lord. I called out to my God. For his temple he heard my voice, or from his temple he heard my voice. My cry came to his ears. The Lord lives. Praise be to my rock. Exalted be my God, the rock, my salvation. The peace treaty between David and Saul, basically an agreement to not kill each other, should have settled the matter. But Saul, always unpredictable, turned to David and pursued him once again. Wisely, David retreated with his band of loyalists to Philistine territory, out of Saul's reach. How ironic that David, Israel's king-to-be, pitched his tent with the very people who waged war against his own nation and eventually took the life of his closest friend. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the Israelites fled before them, and many fell dead at Mount Gilboa. Gilboa, sorry about that. And the Philistines were in hot pursuit of Saul and his son, and they killed his sons, Jonathan, Abinadab, Abinadab. I hate words. Abinadab and Malchishua. Malchishua. We'll go with that. Some of these words, I ain't gonna lie to you, when you read some of the names, like of a village or stuff, you're like, that word sounds like it belongs there. And then others, you say that one doesn't. And then sometimes it's just I can't figure out how to use my tongue in the way that I think would sound right for that place. Because I'm gonna be honest, like Jonathan, that does not sound like a name that I would expect to be uttered in this place at this time. It just doesn't. I would expect it to be something different. But Abinadab, maybe. But Abinadab, I mean, there's got to be something more with it, and I expect the rolling thing. And Malchishua, maybe. That one's good. That'll fit. The fighting grew fierce around Saul, by the way. And when the archers overtook him, they wounded him critically. Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and run me through, or these uncircumcised fellows will come and run me through and abuse me." But his armor-bearer was terrified and would not do it. So Saul took his own sword and fell on it. When the armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell on his sword and died with him. So Saul and his 3 sons and his armor-bearer and all his men died together that same day. When the Israelites along the valley and those across the Jordan saw that the Israelite army had fled and that Saul and his sons had died, they abandoned their towns and fled. The Philistines came and occupied them. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. Gilboa sounds like a snake. They cut off his head and stripped off his armor, and they sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news in the temple of their idols and among their people. They put his armor in the temple of the Ashtoreths, like maybe the Ashtoreth, and fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. When the people of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all their valiant men marched through the night to Bethshan. They took down the bodies of Saul and his sons from the wall of Bethshan and went to Jabesh, where they burned them. Good thing burning them, I guess. I don't know, maybe. David grieved deeply over not only Jonathan's death, but also Saul's. But over the course of time, God directed David to assert his calling as king. His own tribe of Judah came to Hebron to anoint him king over the house of Judah. But it wasn't until after a 7-year struggle between David and those loyal to Saul's son, Ishbosheth, that David was made king over all of Israel. Soon afterward, David twice led the Israelites to decisive victories over the troublesome Philistines. This period also saw one of David's most important accomplishments. He defeated the Jebusites, who lived, now that sounds like a word from there, the old Jebusites, that sounds like that would work, who lived in Jerusalem, making it Israel's national and spiritual capital. David was concerned about more than just military success. He loved God deeply and wanted his nation to love God too. David's passion for God led him to retrieve the Ark of the Covenant stored at the house of Abinadab. It was a joyous parade of people that set out to bring the ark to its new home in Jerusalem, the city of David. David again brought together all the able-bodied young men of Israel, 30,000. He and all his men went to Baalah in Judah to bring up, now Baalah definitely sounds like it belongs there to me, to bring up from there the ark of God, which is called by the name the Lord Almighty, who is enthroned between the cherubim on the ark. They set the ark of God on the new cart and brought it from the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill. Uzzah and Ahio, sons of Abinadab, were guiding the new cart with the ark of God on it, and Ahio was walking in front of it. David and all Israel were celebrating with their might before the Lord with castanets, harps. I'm going to guess that's castanets, harps, lyres, timbrels, sistrums, and cymbals. No drums and electric guitars. What was wrong with these people? You know what, y'all? Page 156. I'm going to have to call it done there. I'm sorry. Look at the time, y'all. 156. We are done already at 16 minutes. And guess what? There we are. The day is over. Hey, you know what? Sonny D, I know you want to hear me say it more. My friend Paul said other people could maybe hear it later. What if Nyla Jean hears this and says, Pop, why weren't you talking to me? Or what if somebody we don't know, an Abinadab living over in Tobago? That's like Trinidad, Tobago. Never mind. Someone I don't know with a name I don't know watches this and says, why do you keep calling Sonny D out? Why don't he ever talk to me? See? Don't even matter what day it is. Could be hot, could be cold. What's it matter? Doesn't matter. Because guess what? This could be there forever. It's the internet. Just take this as a lesson. You put something on the internet, it's going to be there forever. You ain't getting it back. That's how that works. Don't put it there if you don't want it there. This is the Word of God. So I want it there. I'm good with that. All right. I love y'all. I hope y'all have a blessed day. Thank you for being just wonderful subscribers and viewers and people that look at this. I appreciate y'all being here. Love y'all. Bye.